Nat King Cole introduces Unforgettable, which brings us to that unforgettable program, Viewpoint, the program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. We certainly have a perspective this morning, and we have another personality, too, this morning with our guest. Viewpoint, the program, fair and unbalanced views and comments.
In your dreams.
Oh, well,
who told you you were being fair and unbalanced?
Well, sometimes.
Okay, I'll give you some.
Occasionally.
I'll give you
As a matter of fact, I'm going to get ready to do that in just a little bit. But we have a guest. Stand by on the telephone right now. We better have a headset or two so that we can talk to this young lady, by golly.
Yeah,
this
please and
marvelous
thank you.
station here. Here we are so up-to-date techie-wise, we have to share phones.
Here's one.
Oh, I got it. Oh, my goodness. Big-time stuff here. Do we have Judy Rader on the telephone this morning? Good morning, Mrs. Rader.
Good morning, Bill.
And how are you this morning?
I'm great.
All
Anyone
right.
that calls me a young lady can call me any morning.
Oh, bless your heart. Judy.
Yes.
Today is Wednesday, and next Wednesday is a really big day at First Presbyterian
Really
Church
big
in
day.
Lincoln.
It is.
It's on the corner of Ottawa and Pekin, which is right behind the junior high school, which faces
Yes, it is.
Broadway. And it's the annual pork barbecue, and people who come once come every year, don't they?
Yes. We fed about 1,000 people last summer, and we're thinking we're going to do the same or more this summer.
Now,
So-
that's in 2.5 hours that we fed 1,000 people.
That's right.
Now,
That pork
that's
barbecue
hustling.
flies out the door.
You know, that really is an old church. That church has my name on its cradle roll.
Is that right?
Tell us a little bit about the who, what, where, when, and why. The why especially I feel kind of emotionally involved with.
Well, this is one of the biggest fundraisers, probably the fundraiser for our church. We have a lot of activities that we do that the money stays in the Lincoln community or the Logan County area. And the money all comes from the mission projects that we do, and we make the money from the pork barbecue. So we have a big project we're doing this year. It's a project called Blessings in a Backpack, and we're sending food home to 50 students at Jefferson School.
Good for you.
On every Friday. We send a little backpack home that have staples, things that they can use for food for the weekends.
These are the
So
children who are able to avail themselves of the free or reduced price
That's
breakfast
correct.
and lunch at the
Right.
school.
We did about 25 meals this past year, and we've doubled it. We're going to do quite a bit more this year. We have a lot of other community projects. We give money to the Salvation Army, and we sponsor blood banks, and we have Vacation Bible School. It's an endless list, but the money from the pork barbecue stays in the Lincoln community. We don't use it for mission projects out of the town. It's all for Lincoln. So the Lincoln people support it.
They do, and they support it very well, and we hope and pray that they'll do so again. So give us the times, and are you going to have tickets available
There are
at the
tickets
door?
available, but we're happy for anybody to walk right in that day. We have plenty of food for everyone. But if you'd like to get your tickets ahead of time, you can call the church office. It's the First Presbyterian Church office, or every church member is carrying some in their pocket right now, and they'd
You
be
bet.
glad to sell you a ticket too. Tickets are $7, and for $7 you'll get a pulled pork sandwich, slaw or applesauce, chips and a drink, and then the biggest attraction is that homemade dessert. We've got church members across the community working on their homemade desserts, and we have a great variety of pies and cakes and lots of goodies.
Lots of goodies, and they are goodies because they're homemade.
Yeah, you've got 3 or 4 pretty good cooks in that church.
Yeah, at least.
We might have, yeah.
At least. So it's from 5 to 7:30 next Wednesday evening, First Presbyterian Church, right behind the junior high.
And carryouts are available,
Yes.
so if you want to come to the back door, we'll set you up with something to take home.
And we always have, for lack of a better word, a band concert outdoors. where the tent is, where you can eat too. So you can eat in, you can eat out, or you can take out. So be there Wednesday the 18th from 5 to 7:30, First Presbyterian Church, annual church pork barbecue. Thanks, Judy, ever so.
That's okay. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Judy. Have a good day.
Bye-bye, Tom.
Thank you very much. Well, again, now, Judith and Jennifer, you know, we always try to start Viewpoint with a kudo or two. The kudo here, of course, this morning would be very appropriate and, frankly, very obvious that we should be thinking in terms of thanking all of the volunteers that pitch in there at the church. That's always a big event, and I look forward to going. Emery and Dord always comp us a pair of tickets, so I appreciate that.
I know they do, and that's good of them.
So,
Can I just, one more thing. That number, in case you want to call and get tickets beforehand, the church phone number, First Presbyterian Church, 732-6141, from 8 to 1, day in and day out.
good event.
Yeah, oh
and
yeah.
Sure
yeah.
get your money's worth. Did
Oh,
you,
gosh.
can you pronounce that word that you have in front of you there?
Well, it's like paraprosdokians. Now, would you please,
Define
somebody, be so kind as to look that up in your Funkin' Wagnalls and call and tell me how I've butchered the pronunciation of Paraprosdokians. However, this gives you an idea of what they are, and Winston Churchill apparently had a master's degree in these. You start with something very familiar to you. Where there's a will, I want to be in it. The last thing I want to do is hurt you, but it's still on my list. Since light travels faster than sound, some people appear bright until you hear them speak.
That's probably the best of them all.
If I agreed with you, we'd both be wrong. So, in the event that you think we're wrong today, at any point, you call 648-5510 and nail us with it.
Yeah, I wish they'd call us once in a while and nail us. It'd be nice to get be told you're wrong. You and I are so on the perfect side of things. So maybe somebody get out there and argue with us about that.
You don't think so, do you? Really?
Why don't you introduce our nice guest this
I'd
morning?
like
Let's
to
get
do
down to
that.
serious business here.
Well, now, yeah.
Excuse me.
Yes,
Time
please.
out?
Yes.
I forgot.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Elkhart Historical Society.
Hysterical.
What did it again? This is in August now. Our good friend Dr. Dennis Campbell, we're going to get him back here soon. He's going to give a talk about the elephant in the area. He's going to talk about the mammoth story, and that is going to be Friday, August the 17th at the Wild Hare. And
in the big city of Elkhart.
In the great city of Elkhart. Another one of those little communities like Atlanta and others around here that kind of get together and get things done themselves. So Dennis Campbell, Dr. Campbell, a science professor at Lincoln College, going to have that lecture. And then, of course, on September the 9th, they're going to have that Enchanted Evening at Crowhurst. And those tickets, I think, are still available. Elkhart Historical Society. Historical.
There you go.
I did that before seriously. Now I'm sorry about that. Let's introduce our guest this morning.
Jennifer DiPasquale is a registered dietitian. She works at Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital and can be contacted there in the event that, I was going to say unlikely event, but that's not true because she was giving us some statistics. You know, you turn on the news on your radio, on your television, read your newspaper, and there's invariably some story about we Americans being just a tad overweight. And
fat would be the word.
Yeah.
Obese.
And I thought New York's approach to it was interesting.
Don't catch it in any other words. It's fat.
If you want a big glass of pop from your local gas station, you can't have it. But you could buy 2 little ones if you're really thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
And in this heat, I'm sure people have been thirsty. But pop alone isn't, I'm sure, to blame for the fact that we Americans either overeat or under-exercise or all of the above.
I agree. Although a lot of people do drink a lot of their calorie budget every day. And it usually is associated with people who choose regular sodas, energy drinks that are full calorie, lots of fruit juices, and flavored or sweetened teas. One of those, what I call kidney busters, one of those 32 to 44 ounce containers of soda, of regular soda, is going to have about 23 teaspoons of sugar in it. Okay.
Oh, ish.
Yeah.
That sounds like drinking pancake syrup or something.
About a fourth of most people's calorie needs or more per day.
Oof,
My goodness
Right.
gracious. Yeah.
Yeah, and would anyone ever sit down, well, some people might, but would you ever sit down with a bowl of sugar and just scoop it into your mouth with a spoon? You know, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But that's essentially what you're doing when you're bathing your body with that sugar.
Well, and if we had a dentist in here, I think they might say, also, by the way, it's pretty hard on your teeth.
Yeah, well, the one thing that a lot of people don't understand about sugar, and they're going to be doing more studies on it, I'm certain, and it's related to, you know, everybody is all worried about high fructose corn syrup. They think that high fructose corn syrup is, you know, evil, that it's promoting obesity. Too many calories of any source, whether it's high fructose corn syrup or sugar or from vegetables. If you have calories in excess, you're going to gain or retain weight. That's just how it is.
Probably should. Jennifer's been our guest before. We're very happy to have her back, but we probably should put a disclaimer here, or a claimer in this case, as to Jennifer's background and qualifications. Not a disclaimer, a claimer. Tell us a little bit about your background and the nature of your job now. Lend some credibility to your comments about this subject matter this morning.
Yeah. Well, I've been a registered and licensed dietitian for about 20 years now, a little bit more than that. I'm also a certified diabetes educator. Do nutritional counseling for people when they come in to talk to me. We talk about what their usual food or dietary habits are, look at what specific condition they have, and then try and tailor food choices to work towards meeting the needs that they, you know, the diet that they should be following. Everyone has a different starting point. You know, it could be someone coming in for ideas about weight loss, and we can help identify specific behaviors that they might engage in that are setting them up for failure. Look for some easy substitutions of foods or beverages, and I usually encourage people to get some kind of additional activity. I'm not a physical therapist, but I can certainly stress the importance of increasing your physical activity with calorie restriction in order to be successful with weight loss, because it really is important to increase that activity level. Otherwise, with calorie restriction, your metabolism, or how many calories you burn, will decrease if you have too little calories and don't force your body to burn more calories by increasing muscle mass or getting exercise. That's something that a lot of people don't put enough importance on, is that it's got to be reduced calories and exercise to really be successful and keep it off.
One of the words that you used, I think, might be kind of a key to the whole situation, because it is behavior related. And unless you address the behavior, just dropping the big gulp soda isn't going to help you very much, is it?
No. And, you know, I am continue on my journey, my personal weight loss journey. You know, I used to be really heavy. I used to weigh like 265 pounds when I was about 18 years old. And, gosh, I'm almost back down to that 100-pound mark.
Oh, my.
But it's a struggle. And I can totally identify with people who have issues, because I definitely have a struggle each day choosing what to eat and how much activity to get. But no matter who you are, there's as long as you're motivated to make a change, you're moving in the right direction. And if you make enough changes, you'll see some progress as far as, eating more nutritionally dense foods and ditching the empty calories.
Explain your terms, please. Nutritionally dense.
Nutritionally dense, that means that for having few calories, the food has a lot of nutrients.
Green peppers.
Yes.
Celery?
Fruits, vegetables that have been unprocessed or flash frozen, right, without anything added to it. Whole grains, lean protein, and low-fat dairy products. Those are all nutritionally dense foods. So you're going to get a lot of nutrition with less calories versus a candy bar. You're going to get a lot of calories, but maybe not the best nutrition content because there will be a lot of fat and sugar.
Let's talk about the statistics that you were mentioning. Or maybe let me back up just one second. Let's define our terms. I'm not fat. I'm fluffy and leaning toward fat. But
that's not so, but go ahead. I want to know where you're going with this.
So when people talk about that someone is overweight, what does that mean? When somebody says they're obese, what does that mean? When they're morbidly obese, what does that mean? Let's kind of define our terms for starters, please and thank you.
Well, we dietitians and other health professionals will use two different ways to define. There's a percent of ideal body weight. So if you were 5 feet tall and a woman, your ideal body weight would be 100 pounds. Then it'd be plus or minus 5 pounds per inch. If you're a man and 5 foot tall, which I haven't seen one yet, it'd be 106 pounds plus or minus 6 inches, or 6 pounds per inch. And that, if you're at 125% of your ideal body weight, you're usually considered overweight. If you're getting to be over 130% of your ideal body weight, you're considered obese. 200% of your ideal body weight, morbidly obese. And then there's the one that the government likes to use, which is body mass index, or BMI. And anyone who's at a BMI, and that's looking at your height versus your weight, kind of like how compact you are, right? 25 or more is overweight, 30 or more is obese, and then different organizations use different guidelines, but 40 is severely obese, and then usually 50 or more BMI is morbidly obese, which means associated with death.
Now, if you were to go to the health fairs, for instance, they sponsor one out at the Rec every year. That would be a place that you could have the BMI measurement done, right?
In the past, we had a machine out there that would calculate your percentage body fat, but we don't necessarily do that every year. But I'm always sitting out there, and I've got the old BMI slide rule, so I'd be happy to figure that out for anybody who wanted to stop by.
Okay.
Speaking of the Rec, excuse me,
yes, please and thank you.
The gentleman I work out with, I see him out there as an acquaintance. I know it's more than exercise because obviously, but he's lost over 130 pounds, and he's mighty proud of that. And he's still he wants to go 50 to go. Now, the reason I bring that up, Mrs. DiPasquale, is obviously you can't do that all just by exercise. You've got to have some adjustments in your diet and your intake. So tell me where that goes.
Well, to gain a pound of extra weight, we have to take in about 3,500 calories more than what we burn. Fortunately for us, studies have shown that to lose that same pound of weight, you only have to burn about an additional 3,300 calories. So for most people, shooting for about a 500 calorie deficit a day through diet and exercise combined, theoretically, would have you lose a pound a week of weight, about that amount.
And better you should lose a pound a week than really rip them off. And then
Well, some people can be very successful if they, losing 2 or more pounds per week, like we see. I'm not a supporter of the show, although I support the principles, like of Extreme Weight Loss and other shows like that. You can safely lose more than, 2 pounds a week through diet and exercise. It's just that most normal people do not have the personal trainer, the person preparing their meals for them, and the 6 to 8 hours a day for the physical activity to make that possible. And the reason, and this is where I caution people, you see it on TV where you can lose extreme amounts of weight in a short amount of time, but these people have dietitians and physical therapy and professional athletic trainers working with them to make sure that they are not losing muscle mass, that they're not taking in so little calories, that they aren't using up their body organs for energy, because that's what can happen when you have an extreme calorie deficit. There's a balance there. That's why going to see a professional, if you think that you need to do anything extreme, on your weight loss journey, is important. To make sure you're not having too little.
Struggling with this problem. Would like to have a little assistance. 648-5510. Don't have to identify yourself at all. Might have a question that Mrs. DiPasquale might be able to assist you. Other than that, are you available for counseling? Is that a part of your services out there?
Oh, very much so, yes. Myself and my coworker, Ellen Roth, who's also a registered licensed dietitian.
That would be on an appointment basis?
Yes. Yes, to call for an appointment. That's just at the ALMH rehab office. And you could dial the general number, but we do have to have a physician's order. And I always put the old disclaimer out there, just because you are morbidly obese or even overweight, meet that diagnostic criteria, doesn't mean your insurance is going to pay for it. So you got to be careful there. But we do, we are available for presentations for community groups and, to talk about any specific topic of interest as long as it fits in our schedule.
You, on the way up here, were mentioning some statistics
Yes.
As far as young people versus we who aren't probably called young anymore.
She's struggling with that.
Yeah. Trying to be politically correct here, Bill. Don't
Not
make
with
fun.
me.
Anyway, tell us those statistics so that we understand that this isn't just a news filler. This is a real issue.
Yes, it's a significant concern, and especially here in Logan County. Not only do we have a high diabetes rate, but we also have quite high obesity rate for adults. And the current stats are that the adult obesity rate in Logan County is 35%. Illinois is 27%, so we're quite a bit above the state average. And the adult overweight or obese statistics in Logan County, the newest data we have for that is 07-09, 66.3%, which has gone up several percentage points every 2-year period. And when we look at it by age, that 66.3% goes to anyone 65 or above, 60.8%, so around 61. But from the 25 to 44 and 45 to 64 age groups, like 72.3%. Okay.
That's really...
Well, we're going to let them...
About 3 of 4 people age, 25 to 64 in Logan County are overweight or obese.
Well, while we start thinking about being overweight and obese, in the meantime, we're going to take a commercial. We're going to have a commercial on Baby Ruths and fudge sickles and things like that. So, right ahead, Mr. Ash.